Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. Basically, today we are going to talk about the 96th number, 96th part. That is a formula word, basically, you can say. So, basically, till now, basically, we have discussed lots of questions. Up to six questions we have already discussed. This is actually the seventh question that is ongoing. That is basically the question is how basically power company is knowing about the each and every task is going, which task is ongoing in the software company without basically camera in the without camera, without the messenger, without any message. How basically they are tracking each and everything basically. For example, power company is getting the information from any software company, for example from the Accenture, basically how many projects is ongoing. Without camera there is no, they are basically able to know the each and every task, basically which type of task is ongoing, which developer is doing which tasks. This basically project manager, if you want to know, then they need to add the task, add the sprint, add the resources, then basically have to allocate the resources, and then basically have to allocate the task to the resources, sprint to the resources. Then basically if anybody get the access of the user ID of that tool, basically if he gets any user ID and password of the tool, then basically he can able to see basically which resource is doing what and up to what level the task he has done. But power company basically have that much power, basically that they can track the information of the each and every developers, each and every project manager, each and every quality department, each and every resource, basically what is doing in the software company. So just imagine the up to level the power basically the power company have, basically they are they are telling that we don't have any magic, basically we don't have any god power also. Each and everything basically, this type of power basically god only has, basically the god has created each and everything, basically. So according to that, basically the god got the each and every power, basically. So here basically it's about the something else, that is basically power company says that we are not god, we are using the each and every tools which is created by the set of energy companies and the power companies and the groups, basically, and basically who are into the city creations. Just we are using that tools, basically that are basically the city creation. For example, text box equal to 3000 city creation, so that city creation 3000, that is basically tool for us, basically to track each and everything. If condition basically is if condition, for loop is there, while loops are there. Like this, basically, this all are basically created from the 3000 cities. So these all are tool for power company, basically. This power company is telling like this, basically. So basically, how basically they are tracking each and everything. That is basically the magical thing, basically you can say. So here we are talking about that only, basically how the power company is telling that we know each and everything what is happening in the software company, and they are tracking that also, that how many project is ongoing in the software company. For example, the Accenture company have around 1500 project, right? So 1000 project, 500 project is ongoing. That basically how power company is knowing. Sometimes basically project directors, project CEOs, sorry, the company CEO and vice president also can miss any project, basically can miss one or two projects, basically for tracking. But mostly this big companies never do that because the project budget is itself of the 100 crore, 200 crore project, basically. So they never miss that. But just giving the example, basically. So like this, basically power companies are telling if your software company misses the project, but we can't miss the project because each and every conditions, each and every things basically are tracked, each and every things are getting tracking, each and every conditions are getting tracked of the each and every tools. Because the, for example, I will take one example. I have taken this example before also. One company that is basically Infosys company, right? Assume that it's a Infosys company. Infosys company is telling that we got the uh, project of creation of fruits, basically. Fruits, basically, since they got the project of apple creation, basically. Apple is one fruit, basically. That basically happens. That creation happens in where the lands are basically cool, basically where basically ice gets fall. There basically the Apple gets creates. So the Apple basically manufacture happens in that place basically. So here basically the software company says that we are producing the Apple by creating certain lands basically. So first the Infosys is telling that we had given the requirements to the we are developing this project in Microsoft. So they told that we have given the requirement of this Apple creation to the Microsoft. So they sent us, and that is basically going to develop in .NET. So like this, basically the Microsoft people has given one SDK, that is basically the installation tool of the .NET. So they basically install and they given the installation to the Infosys directors. Basically, these are the very critical things. So basically, they directly don't interact with the manager. Also, they interact with the project directors basically, because project manager also might not be knowing this, because he's only aware about the functionality, that is basically which project is ongoing, what is the validations, what are the functional, what are the documents basically supposed to prepare, each and everything basically he's only aware about the, but the project director has to be aware about each and everything basically. So here basically it's a Infosys is going to prepare the Apple from the .NET project basically. So the land basically creation has started. That basically the .NET basically Microsoft has created one land side, one land has created. That land creation basically has started in the Infosys. Infosys has installed the .NET basically kits basically, which is given by the Microsoft corporation. So they have installed the land basically, you can say. On the land only basically each and every creations is going to happen. The Apple creation project is going to happen. In the Apple creation basically the Infosys is creating one banking project basically. So one bank basically is there, it's a new bank, and they are telling that this type of customer, this blood group customers are going to help basically on creation of Apples basically. So just see basically the creation, the mappings, the data using, how basically data are getting used, how the data are taking care, that is also there basically, data are taking care. And like this basically, because each and every data are tracked, each and every data are taking care by the set of corporate, set of companies. And like this basically the banking project is ongoing, and the Infosys told that we are going to use this all blood groups from this bank. And that blood groups entire information are going to create into Apple creation. Like this basically the system started creation, the banking project created, the banking project tested, then quality department has given the green signal, and they told that it's okay now basically you can go for live. The banking projects went to the live. The server basically has installed the banking projects. Like this the server, and server was basically the of certain companies, the PC was of certain companies, the server PC was of certain companies. Like this basically the server got installed. For example, there is one compact company, right? The compact server basically, you can say, or HP server or Microsoft server basically. To create one server itself basically, the company server I'm talking about, the main server basically, you can say, of the certain companies, that actually takes more than 500 to 600 cities to create basically. If you are creating any server, that basically by default is going to connect to the physical areas basically. I'm talking about the energy process basically, that is saying, because if you are creating any computer basically, that does not require any space basically, that don't require any physical place basically. It can be just used from set of hardware, set of softwares, and then basically that server gets started. But here the issue comes when the basically the softwares and each and everything are basically going to use as a human needs basically, you can say. So when you are using the human, when you are using the softwares to the human needs creation purpose, that time basically you require the physical places basically, you can say. That are the land creations happen, virtual land creation, you can say. So the Microsoft has created the land creation, then basically the server groups are going to create the land creation. Then the basically software is basically as the data gets inserted, that will basically land creation, and the Apple creation process starts. Like this basically each and every process gets starts. And here basically the main thing is the power company basically, they are tracking each and everything basically, each and every conditions, because they are going to help to create in the they are going to help the software company in creation of Apple basically. That's why basically they required each and every condition. For example, the banking projects contains more than 5 lakh conditions, more than 1 lakh text boxes, more than 20,000 combo boxes, more than 5,000 check boxes, more than 1,000 radio buttons, more than 55 submit and reset buttons basically. Like this, you can just imagine the calculation basically what is happening. This number basically I just taken as a number, but in real basically the number might be totally different. It's just taken as an example basically, so that it can be clear as a what actually how basically banking system works and how basically Infosys. I have here Infosys also I have taken as an example. It can be any company basically. So Infosys is telling that we have created the Apple and the Apple creation process has started, the data in setting is ongoing. Like this, the Apple creation chain basically has started. As the data is getting inside the chain, getting Apple chain gets process started. Like this basically the Apple, at last the Apple creation has happened and Apple creation has done basically. Then basically the nuclear companies, power companies and energy companies starts getting using of that um, Apple data basically, which is that is basically the banking projects basically. You can say like this, the process gets starts. The Apple creation happens in the help of power companies, energy companies, and the nuclear company. Here basically power companies gets main role basically because each and every condition which is used in that banking project, that is basically we are taken as a 5 lakh, 5 to 6 lakh. Like this, the 5 to 6 lakh condition has been used in creation of Apple basically. So you can just see the calculation basically of the just the of the each and every conditions basically. You can just see the calculations basically. You can say like this basically each and every conditions are used, and the power companies has tracked each and every for each condition only basically. The if creator basically who created the if, they basically have created more than 3,000 cities basically just to create that if condition, and detail of if and cities how created on the base of if condition, that basically we I have already taken one video in that we any of in one of the parts basically. From that basically you can able to get the detailed view of the if condition, how the if condition is getting used. Like this basically you can just imagine the power company's power basically. The project company is telling that we need the tool to track each and every projects. We need to track which developer is doing what. For that basically we have to add the task, we have to add the sprint, we have to add the each and every project specification, we have to add the qualitative documents. Then only basically we can able to track the each and every resources what they are doing. But power company is telling that we have the each and every tool basically, that are basically if condition is created from the 3,000 cities, text box is created on the base of 3,000 cities. These all are tools for us. So you can just imagine the power of the power companies and the energy companies basically, how they are tracking each and everything basically. You can just see the power basically. You can, and they basically tell the power companies telling that we have done up to the level that basically we don't need any tools. But there might be the power companies, energy company also might be using one of the tool basically, but their tools are totally different basically. You can say so. They're basically they will be keeping track of the if conditions and while condition and for loop condition, how basically um, how each and every while loop is basically is used, how basically the while loop are basically created on the base of 3,000 cities. So each and everything basically is our company is telling that we are tracking each and everything basically. So for that, the reason is basically the human needs creation basically. So this is basically the 96th number part you can say of the formula word. And the question is seventh question: how basically power company is telling that we know each and everything what is happening in the software. So we are trying to understand basically, and we are trying to explain basically how power company is telling that we know each and every things what is happening in the software companies.